Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24, The Renunciation of Kardamamuni, verse number 10. Bhagavantam Param Brahma, Bhagavantam Param Brahma, Bhagavantam Param Brahma, Sattvena Amshena Shatruhan, Sattvenamshena Shatruhan, Sattvenamshena Shatruhan, Tattva Sāṅkhya Vijñaptyai, Tattva Sāṅkhya Vijñaptyai, Tattva Sāṅkhya Vijñaptyai, Jatam Vidvan Ajaha Swarat, Jatam Vidvan Ajaswarat, Jatam Vidvan Ajaswarat, Bhagavantam Param Brahma, Sattvenamshena Shatruhan, Tattva Sāṅkhya Vijñaptyai, Jatam Vidvan Ajaswarat, Bhagavantam Param Brahma, Sattvenamshena Shatruhan, Tattva Sāṅkhya Vijñaptyai, Jatam Vidvan Ajaswarat, Bhagavantam, the Lord, Param, Supreme, Brahma, Brahman, Tat Sattvena, having an uncontaminated existence, Amshena, by a plenary portion, Shatruhan, O killer of the enemy, Vidura, Tattva Sāṅkhya, the philosophy of the 24 material elements, Vijñaptyai, for explaining, Jatam, appeared, Vidvan, knowing, Ajaha, the unborn, Lord Brahma, Swarat, independent. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Maitreya continued, O killer of the enemy, the unborn Lord Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge, could understand that a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his quality of pure existence, had appeared in the womb of Devahuti, just to explain the complete state of knowledge known as Sāṅkhya-yoga. Kindly repeat. Maitreya continued, O killer of the enemy, the unborn Lord Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge, could understand that a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his quality of pure existence, had appeared in the womb of Devahuti just to explain the complete state of knowledge known as Sāṅkhya-yoga. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, it is stated that the Lord himself is the compiler of Vedanta Sutra and he is the perfect knower of Vedanta Sutra. Similarly, the Sāṅkhya philosophy is compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his appearance as Kapila. There is an imitation Kapila who has a Sāṅkhya philosophical system, but Kapila, the incarnation of God, is different from that Kapila. Kapila, the son of Karda Mumuni, in his system of Sāṅkhya philosophy, very explicitly explained not only the material world, but also the spiritual world. Brahma could understand this fact because he is Swarat, almost independent in receiving knowledge. He is called Swarat because he did not go to any school or college to learn, but learned everything from within. Because Brahma is the first living creature within this universe, he had no teacher. His teacher was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, who is seated in the heart of every living creature. Brahma acquired knowledge directly from the Supreme Lord within the heart. Therefore, he is sometimes called Swarat and Aja. Another important point is stated here. Satvena Amshena. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, he brings with him all his paraphernalia of Vaikuntha. Therefore, his name, his form, his quality, his paraphernalia, and his entourage all belong to the transcendental world. Real goodness is in the transcendental world. Here in the material world, the quality of goodness is not pure. Goodness may exist, but there must also be some tinges of passion and ignorance. In the spiritual world, the unalloyed quality of goodness prevails. There, the quality of goodness is called Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. Another name for Shuddha Sattva is Vasudeva, because God is born from Vasudeva. Another meaning is that when one is purely situated in the qualities of goodness, he can understand the form, name, quality, paraphernalia, and entourage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Amshena also indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appeared as Kapila Deva in a portion of his portion. God expands either as Kala or as Amsha. Amsha means direct expansion and Kala means expansion of the expansion. There is no difference between the expansion of the expansion, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, as there is no difference between one candle and another. But still, the candle from which the others are lit is called the original. Krishna, therefore, is called the Parabrahman, or the ultimate Godhead and cause of all causes. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mokam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. Jai Tulsi Maharani ki jai. Recently, few days back, an IIT Bombay pass out, an engineer who has passed out from Bombay IIT. IIT Bombay is one of the premier engineering institutes in the country. Out of all the IITs, IIT Bombay is one of the better, considered one of the best branches of IIT. One guy called Rishabh Jain, I think. He passed out of IIT Bombay and he became an entrepreneur. Started his own business and he was running his business. He is running his business in Jaipur. And this man, he has a family. He wanted to admit his child to the school, to the first standard. He went to one of the good schools in Jaipur and he found out what are the details for admission, how to apply, how to get admitted, what are the criteria. And then they gave him all the details and they gave him a slip which showed how much fees he has to pay. And for 1 year, for the first standard student, the fees was coming to some 4.27 lakh rupees. So he took a photograph of that and put it on his social media account, saying that see how education has become so expensive. For a first standard child, 4.27 lakhs I have to spend per year. You must imagine then for me to afford that, how much salary I must have. I must have at least minimum 20-25 lakhs per annum. Then only I will be able to afford. And he was saying how education has become so expensive. If you want to give a good education to your child, it's not easy, and all those kind of stuff. India, education has become like that. It's become a big business. Any good school, any major city you go, if you want a child to be educated well, then you have to pay a big sum. It was not like this in the olden days. When I studied in school, 8th standard, when I was studying, the annual fees was 200 rupees. And when I studied engineering, my engineering fees per year was some 2,000 rupees. Per year, you can imagine. And today, first standard student, 4.27 lakhs. My whole education, what I did from nursery till engineering, I would not have spent so much money. But today it has become like that. All kinds of, uniform, bus, this, that, all these kind of things. Anyway, so in the Bhagavatam, there is a description of the beginning of the creation, how this whole material universe came to be created. So when the Supreme Lord, when he wanted to create Mahavishnu, Karanodakasai Vishnu, he lay down on the causal ocean, the Viraja Nadi, and from the pores of his body, many, many universes came out. And into each and every universe, Karanodakasai Vishnu expanded himself as Garbhodakasai Vishnu. And within the universe, half the universe was filled with water. And in that water, again, Ananta appeared on that water and Garbhodakasai Vishnu lay down on the Ananta. And from the navel of Garbhodakasai Vishnu, one lotus came out and it sprouted. And on the lotus, on the top of the lotus, Brahma was born. Now for Brahma to be born, although Garbhodakasai Vishnu was lying on Ananta and Lakshmi Devi was right there, massaging his lotus feet, Garbhodakasai Vishnu did not require the assistance of Lakshmi Devi to give birth to Brahma. Directly, Brahma was born on the lotus flower. Now, when Brahma was born like this, because he was not born like normally all other living entities are born through a mother, through the womb of a mother, he directly appeared on the lotus flower. Therefore, he is known as Swayambhu or Aja. Swayambhu means who is self-born. Aja means one who is unborn. This word Aja is used to refer to even the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a different sense. When we refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Aja, that means he is eternal. He never takes birth. He is always present as he is. He is not created by anybody else. When we speak of Brahma being Aja, that means he is not born like ordinary other living entities, because he just appeared on the lotus flower, just like that. Now when Brahma appeared like this on the lotus flower, he looked all around and everywhere he could see only darkness. Material universe is fully dark, being covered by several layers of earth, water, fire, air, space, etc. So because of that, the earth is, the universe is very, very dark. Jagad Anda. The universe is like an anda, like an egg. And it has a shell comprising several layers. And it is said that this universe, where we have our four-headed Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma, this universe is the smallest universe, which is 4 billion miles in diameter. That's the extent which is given in the Vedic scriptures. So, this universe being covered by so many layers, it is very dark. And Brahma looked all around, he could see only darkness. So Brahma started thinking, where have I appeared from? How did I take birth here? Who is the source of my birth? He became curious. This is natural for any intelligent person, isn't it? Now he looked all around, everywhere he is not able to see anything, only darkness was pervading everywhere. And he saw that he is sitting on a lotus. He thought maybe in the stem of the lotus he could see that there was this lotus is not simply floating, it is standing on a stem. He thought maybe if I trace out the root of this stem, I'll come to know where I have come from. So he traveled all along the length of the stem for a long period of time, but he could not find the end of the stem. Being baffled in his attempt, Brahma came back to the top of the lotus. And then he started wondering, what is all this darkness? Where have I come from? What is the purpose of my existence? Who is the source from whom I have come? Like this, he was wondering. And he was thinking, how will I find out all these things? Because he is the only person. Nobody else is there. Then, suddenly, he heard one word. Tapa. It was repeated twice. Tapa, tapa, he heard. So Brahma wondered, where has this sound come from? He started looking. But again, he could not find the source of the sound. But anyway, he took it as a divine instruction. And he sat in deep meditation and he executed austerity. Tapa means austerity, tapasya. He executed the austerity of deep meditation for 1000 celestial years. At the end of those 1000 years, because of his meditation, intense meditation, undeviating meditation, for such a long period of time, the Supreme Lord Vishnu became pleased with Brahma. And he manifested himself and his Vaikuntha, this one planet before Brahma. And then Brahma could see such a beautiful Vaikuntha planet, and everywhere all kinds of devotees, all kinds of birds, beautiful plants, trees, all these things manifested before him. And there were wonderful 400 denizens of Vaikuntha Loka. They were all traveling in the plains and all these kind of things. And then he saw the Supreme Lord himself, Narayana. And when he met Narayana, Narayana instructed him on the 4 verses, Chatusloki Bhagavatam. Originally, all transcendental knowledge is encapsulated within the word Om. Within the word Om, all the transcendental knowledge is invested within that. Now when Brahma came in front of Narayana, Narayana expanded that Om into the 4 verses, into the Chatusloki Bhagavatam. And that is how the Chatusloki Bhagavatam was manifested. And by hearing those 4 verses, Brahma became fully enlightened. And then he went about the creation. He went about creating all the planets were situated, and he started creating all the different sons of Brahma, the various rishis, and they further started their procreating and filling the universe with all kinds of living entities, birds, beasts, aquatics, human beings, demigods, etc. All of them were manifest, and that's how the universe came into existence. Now, in this whole process, if you see, Brahma, because he was the first created living entity, for him to acquire knowledge, he was very anxious to acquire knowledge, because he was ignorant. He was seeing there is only darkness. And for him to acquire knowledge, who is there? Who is there to teach him? Just like this IIT and from Bombay, he could go to a school. Why he is going to a school? Because he wants the child to acquire knowledge. And in this material world, on this earth, if somebody has to acquire knowledge, only way is he has to go to a school. There is no other way. Otherwise, whole life he will be an illiterate. So that is why, because there is no other way than to go to a school, the schools also, they are charging exorbitant prices, and the people are forced. They have no option. They have no choice. So for all of us to acquire knowledge, only way is we have to go to a school, and there a teacher has to teach us. You have to go to a school, there is a curriculum, there is a textbook, and that textbook, although all the knowledge is there, you cannot go to the shop and buy that textbook and say that I will study it by myself and I will learn, I will acquire knowledge. You cannot do that. If you go to, suppose you go to a doctor, suppose you are feeling sick, fever, whatever, you are having a cold or whatever, you go to the doctor. Now you go to the clinic and you are seeing there is this doctor who is sitting there. First time you are going and you speak to him and you ask him, Doctor, where did you study your MBBS from? Which college did you go? And he replies, no, I did not go to any college. There was a shop near my house. I went and took all the MBBS, all the books, and I read, I studied, and I became a doctor. So what will you do? First thing is you will run away from that place. You will say, I am not going to take treatment from this guy. What is wrong? He has read the same books what any other certified doctor will be learning that same knowledge from. So what is wrong? Same book only he has studied. So why don't you accept him as a doctor? No, you cannot accept him as a doctor, because although the knowledge is there in the book, you have to learn that knowledge from a teacher in an authorized college. Only then you can become a doctor. You can become a doctor, you can become an engineer, you can become a lawyer, you can become an architect, whatever you want to become. You can be an authorized person in that field only when you go to a authorized school or college and learn from a teacher or a professor in that college or the school. That's the only way to acquire education in this material world. However, to teach Brahma, there was no college, there was no school, there was no IIT, there was no professor who could teach him. There was not even any shop selling the books which he wanted to learn the knowledge. So where will he learn from? So therefore, the Supreme Lord, Krishna himself, taught him from within his heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye, the first words of the Bhagavatam. The first canto, first chapter, first verse of the Bhagavatam says, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. Adi Kavi means the first created living person, which is Brahma. So to the Adi Kavi, Hrida, in the heart, Tene, he was taught Brahma, the transcendental knowledge, spiritual knowledge, the knowledge of the Vedas. The knowledge of the Vedas was taught to Brahma from within his heart by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And then Brahma further gave that knowledge to Narada, Narada gave it to Vyasa, and Vyasadev further expanded that Chatushloki Bhagavatam into the 18,000 verses, the 18 cantos of the 12 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is how the knowledge has come to be. Now, if you see, because Brahma acquired knowledge, not like us by going to somebody and learning from a college or a professor or by a textbook, he was taught directly by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is referred to here as Swarat. Swarat means he is almost as independent as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why is Krishna called Swarat? In the first canto, first chapter, first verse of the Bhagavatam, Krishna is referred to as Swarat. He is also referred to as Swarat. But Krishna's Swaratness, his independence, is absolute. For Krishna to acquire knowledge, he is not dependent upon anyone else. Krishna is supremely, independently knowledgeable. He is omniscient. Whereas Brahma, he is almost as independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he is not dependent upon anyone else other than the Supreme Lord for acquiring knowledge. Therefore, he is also called Swarat. So, there is a little difference in the Swaratness of Brahma and the Swaratness of Vishnu. When we speak of Vishnu as being Swarat, when we speak of Krishna as being Swarat, he is fully independent, absolutely independent. When we speak of Brahma being Swarat, what is being referred to here is Jatam Vidwan Ajaha Swarat. Ajaha, the unborn Brahma, he is also referred to as Swarat. His Swaratness is, he is almost as independent as the Supreme Lord in acquiring knowledge. And so therefore, he is also referred to as Swarat. Now this Swarat, this supremely almost independent Brahma, who is almost fully independent in acquiring knowledge, he understood that. What did he understand? Bhagavantam param brahma satvenam shena shatruhan tattva saṅkhya-yoga vijñaptyai jatam. He understood that in the womb of Devahūti, the wife of Kardama Muni, she is carrying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She is not carrying an ordinary child. How did Brahma know this? Because Brahma is Swarat, because he is almost independent in acquiring knowledge. His source of knowledge is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead from within his heart. Therefore, he could understand that the child within the womb of Devahūti is not an ordinary person. Why he is not an ordinary person? Because Satvena Amshena, that child within the womb of Devahūti is not governed by the three modes of material nature, Satoguna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. He is not governed by any of these things. On the other hand, he is governed by Satvena, by pure goodness. This pure goodness, what is this pure goodness? In this material world, we have the mode of goodness, and we have the mode of passion, and we have the mode of ignorance. A person, according to the amount of punya or pious credits that he has, he may get a body which is in Satoguna. A person who is not so pious, he may get a body which is in Rajoguna. And a person who is sinful, he will get a body in Tamoguna, the mode of ignorance. So the mode of ignorance, the mode of passion, and the mode of goodness. These are the three modes which govern all living entities. Now, when we speak of human beings, even though a person may get the body of a Brahmana, the body of a Brahmana is said to be completely in the highest mode of goodness. Although even a Brahmana who is born with a lot of pious credits, he may have a body which is very high in Satoguna, the mode of goodness. Still, that body will be contaminated with some amount of Rajoguna, the mode of passion, and Tamoguna, the mode of ignorance. You cannot find any person, any living entity within this universe who is completely in the mode of goodness. Because the nature of this material world is, this whole material creation is pervaded by these three modes. You cannot find any nook or corner within this universe which is completely free from the influence of these three modes. Everywhere these three modes are pervading. So therefore, any person, even a Brahmana, very highly qualified Brahmana, will also have some tinges of the modes of passion and ignorance. What to speak of Brahmana? Even Brahma, even he is tinged by the mode of passion. Forget about ordinary human beings. So, but then, this child within the womb of Devahuti is completely in sattva. And that sattva is referred to by Lord Shiva himself in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He says, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. That sattva guna, which is Vishuddha sattva, which is pure goodness, there is no contamination of the modes of passion and ignorance. That is called Vasudeva Shabditam. That is called Vasudeva Sattva. There is another term for Vishuddha Sattva. So, this Vasudeva Shabditam, this Vasudeva Sattva, why is this Vishuddha Sattva called Vasudeva Sattva? Because Vasudeva means all pervading. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, his existence is sustained by the Vasudeva Sattva. He is not sustained by the Sattva of this material universe. He is sustained by the Vishuddha Sattva. And therefore, whenever Krishna appears, he appears as the son of Vasudeva. And therefore, he is called Vasudeva. So, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam Yad Iyate Tatra Puman Apavritaha. That Puman, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Yad Iyate, is revealed. Apavritaha, he is revealed to a person who also is situated in that Vasudeva Sattva or Vishuddha Sattva. The Supreme Lord himself, he is in Vishuddha Sattva. And if someone has to understand him, has to realize him, then one must elevate oneself to Vishuddha Sattva. Being on the platform of Sattva Guna within this material world is not enough to realize to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not enough to become a highly qualified Brahmana. Even a highly qualified Brahmana can come to the position of understanding Brahman Janati iti Brahmanaha. He can come to the point of understanding there is something which is known as the absolute truth. But he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna or Vishnu. If you have to understand Vishnu or Krishna or Narayana, then you have to go beyond the position of a Brahmana and you have to become a Vaishnava. You have to become situated in Vishuddha Sattva. Sattvena Puman. So, this Supreme Personality of Godhead is understood by a person who is situated in Vishuddha Sattva. And Lord Shiva further says, He Adhokshajo, that Adhokshaja, that Supreme Personality of Godhead who cannot be perceived by our material senses, Me namasa vidhiyate, I constantly offer my worship to him. I am constantly worshipping that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, by myself being situated in Vishuddha Sattva. These are the words spoken by Lord Shiva to his wife Sati. When Sati wanted to go to her father's house, Daksha, to attend the big sacrificial ceremony he was conducting, at that time, Lord Shiva was explaining that he was explaining to her his own position. That his position, because he is situated in Vishuddha Sattva and he is constantly worshipping, Me namasa vidhiyate, he is constantly worshipping that Adhokshaja, that Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He himself is constantly situated in that Vishuddha Sattva. Therefore, it was a great offense on the part of Daksha to neglect him and to insult him. And so therefore, Lord Shiva was trying to dissuade Sati from going to her father's place. So at that time he mentioned this, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is in Vishuddha Sattva, which is known as Vasudeva Sattva, and because Lord Shiva is constantly worshipping that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, therefore he is also on that platform of Vishuddha Sattva or Vasudeva Sattva. So that is why it is stated that Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhuhu, Lord Shiva is considered one of the topmost Vaishnavas. topmost devotees of Lord Krishna. So therefore, when Brahma, he understood that Sattvena Bhagavantam Param Brahma Jatam, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is completely in the purified Vishuddha Sattva, he has appeared within the womb of Devahūti. That means he is not appearing on account of his karma. Normally, when any living entity is born in this material world, he has to take a birth based on the previous karma. According to his previous karma, the previous activities, the amount of pious and sinful, whatever activities he has done, as the result of that, he is awarded a body. And that body that he is awarded is by divine arrangement. And none of us actually choose our body or our parents. We are all born helplessly. And after taking birth, we realize, oh, I've got a body. I got a male body, I got a female body. These are my parents. After taking birth, we come to know. Before taking birth, nobody asked us, let us give you a choice. Do you want a, American father, or do you want an Indian father, or you want to be born in Pakistan? Where do you want to be born? Do you want a male body, female body? Do you want a human body, animal body? Nobody gave us any choice. So we are helplessly born according to our karma. Whereas, when Kapila Deva is taking birth from Devahūti, he is not doing by the force of karma. He is doing it by his own choice. He has chosen Devahūti to be his mother and Kardama to be his father. So that is why Sattvena Bhagavantam Param Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he, Sattvena, being situated in Sattoguna, being uncontaminated by the three modes of material nature, Sattoguna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna, but being completely situated in Vishuddha Sattva, by Amshena, by a plenary portion of his, he has Jatam, he has taken birth. He has taken shelter of the womb of Devahūti. And why has he done this? The Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely in Vishuddha Sattva. He is completely in transcendental mode of goodness, being completely beyond the influence of the Sattoguna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna within this material world. That's number one. Number two, he is not under the force of the laws of karma. He is not controlled by material nature. Then why should he take birth as the son of Devahūti and Vasudeva? As the son of Devahūti and Kardama. Why should he take birth? Because Brahma understood Tattva Sāṅkhya Vijñaptyai. For explaining the complete state of knowledge known as Sāṅkhya-yoga, which is the philosophy of the 24 material elements. For that purpose, Bhagavantam Param Brahma, that Param Bhagavanta, that the Supreme Person, Param Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Amshena, by his plenary portion, has now descended into the womb of Devahūti. He has accepted Devahūti and Kardama as his parents. For what purpose? For Tattva Sāṅkhya Vijñaptyai, to spread the complete state of knowledge known as Sāṅkhya-yoga, which involves devotional service to Krishna. So the Supreme Lord, he descends to this material world, not because being bound by the laws of karma, but to spread transcendental knowledge about himself and devotional service to him, which can benefit all the conditioned souls within this material world. And by hearing the Sāṅkhya-yoga propounded by Kapila Deva, we all can render devotional service to Krishna. We can become devotees of Krishna. We can perfect our life and go back to Godhead, being liberated from this miserable material world of birth, death, disease and old age. Therefore, to benefit the conditioned souls, to benefit all of us, and to give us an opportunity to understand what is the goal of the human form of life, that the highest purpose of the human form of life is served by rendering devotional service, bhakti yoga, to Krishna, by which we can become situated on Vishuddha Sattva, by which that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is revealed to us. To reveal all these things to us, the Supreme Lord descends. He descends from time to time. He personally comes, or he incarnates, or he comes as one of his expansions like Kapila Deva, or Krishna personally comes. Or he sends one of his representatives, the Acharyas like Srila Prabhupada himself. They all come for one single purpose, to educate us. About what? Not the education what you can get in the schools by paying 4.27 lakhs of rupees. This knowledge is revealed within the heart when we situate ourselves in Vishuddha Sattva. And how do we situate ourselves in Vishuddha Sattva? We have to chant Hare Krishna, we have to attend our sadhana, follow the 4 regulative principles, and do whatever practical devotional service is possible within the temple. So, we dedicate our life for serving the mission of our spiritual master Prabhupada, and by doing that, what are we doing? We are situating ourselves in Vishuddha Sattva Guna, and by that, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, will become revealed in our hearts. And this is not some theory that I am talking. All of you have actually realized this, isn't it? You see, before we came to Krishna consciousness, before we came in touch with Prabhupada, most of us were born in Hindu families. We all used to go to temples. We would have visited so many Krishna temples. We would have visited so many Shiva temples, Durga temples, all kinds of temples we would have visited. Did we have any understanding of the position of Krishna? I remember in my home, every Friday we'll go to one Gayatri temple, Saturday go to one Shani temple, some other day go to one Shiva temple. Every day we would go to one temple. And along with that, one Krishna temple also will go. So Krishna is like any of the other devatas. What is the difference? After we came in touch with Prabhupada and we started chanting Hare Krishna, what has happened? Big revelation in our heart. Krishna is not like other devatas. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the fountainhead. He is the source of everybody else, everything else. Aham Adirhi Devanam. All the devatas, they have come from Krishna. Krishna is the fountainhead. Bhagavantam Param Brahma. Krishna is the absolute truth, Supreme Personality of Godhead. This knowledge has been revealed in our heart. Where did this revelation come from? Why was it not there before we came in touch with Krishna consciousness? Because at that time, we were governed only by Satoguna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna within the material world. Now, having come in touch with Prabhupada, having come in touch with the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, what has happened? We have come into touch. Although we may not be fully situated in Vishuddha Sattva, but still we have come in touch with Vishuddha Sattva Guna, because of which we have realized that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And having got this wonderful, rare opportunity of coming in touch with Prabhupada and the holy name of Krishna, if we dedicate our life for Krishna, if we dedicate our life for serving the mission of Prabhupada, then what will happen? We will be able to very quickly progress and situate ourselves in Vishuddha Sattva. And at that time, Krishna will reveal himself to us within our heart. Then when we come to the temple, we see Radha Govinda, we will not see stone, we will not see metal. In a few days, 2-3 days from now, you will see beautiful marble deities of Radha Govinda. They will no longer be marble. They are not, don't think they are stone or marble. Actually, Krishna and Radharani are descending here. They are personally coming here to give darshan to all of us. So, to be able to see them as Radharani and Krishna, what is required? We have to be in Vishuddha Sattva. And Vishuddha Sattva is how possible? By chanting Hare Krishna, doing our sadhana, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, following the 4 regulative principles, and if you are able to dedicate your life for Prabhupada and Krishna's movement, then very quickly the Krishna will reveal himself within your heart. So we'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Go